welcome back, guys. So, this next segment is going to be centered around something that I know brings everybody together, and that's food. So, this segment is called Dish It Out, and the purpose of this is for Zach and I to share different dishes of the AAPI community. We have so many different cultures that are mixed together, and because of that, we have so many different delicious dishes that you know are popular, and then we also have those hidden gems that we don't really talk about. So, Zach, what did you bring to Dish It Out this week?
So this week I'm going to be talking about Char Siu Bao or Char Siu Bao or Chinese barbecue pork buns
Oh
or
my
just
goodness.
bao. That's there's a lot of names for it. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation a little bit, but that's okay. So basically, there are two main types: steamed and baked. Steamed baos are have like a like a white fluffy outside bun, and inside there's a very hot and uh, fatty, sweet, and savory pork filling. And so I feel like usually they're dyed red, and because you don't get that like natural red from just all the spices. But then the baked ones have a kind of a sweeter dough that with an egg wash, and they're equally amazing. So the steamed ones are usually in a dim sum setting, and the baked ones are in a like a Chinese bakery setting. I love going to a Chinese bakery, and I've literally cleaned out their like bao stock before.
They're
Uh,
so good.
it they're so good. They're like a dollar 20 now. They used to be cheaper, but you go to a Chinese bakery. This is experience. You get one of those white boxes from a Chinese bakery. You know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone who's ever gotten something from like a lot of stuff from a Chinese bakery, or like a cake, you know what I'm talking about. I've used $15 to just buy all of the baos they've had. You keep it in the fridge, you heat it up. They're just amazing. I don't know
It's
how to characterize them. They're not like
it's just
a
that balance of sweet and savory because you get the sweetness from the dough, and I'm just saying I love the steamed ones way more
really. I'm
than.
more of a baked person.
Okay, I was gonna ask you that question next because I personally love the steamed version of the pork buns because, going to the Asian supermarket, me and my family, we always get a box of four. And just biting into that sweet dough, like the sweet bread of like the bun, and immediately that savory, fatty pork just melts in your mouth.
Yeah,
It's so good. I'm actually like I'm craving it right now.
it's an experience. I miss it. I haven't had one in so long, and I need it back in my life. But no,
But
every time I've been to Philly for like we always had to stop in Chinatown to pick up some.
for the dish that I'm bringing to dish it out this week is a traditional finger food that's served in the Philippines. Everybody knows it, everybody loves it. I'm going to be talking about lumpia, which is a Filipino style egg roll. So I love this finger food. It's so easy to make, and they're so small. They're about maybe an inch and a half long. So I've been guilty of eating like 10 or 12 in one sitting. And because they're so small, I have zero guilt. But I think what I love most about lumpia is that this is such a good introductory food for all of my friends that want to learn more about Filipino food because you can really customize it in any way. So the traditional way is you fill it with ground pork and some vegetables. Like my family would put onions and um, different spices, and we would just fry it in regular vegetable oil. But so a little bit of backstory about me, I am with the Filipino Student Association at the University of Miami. And one of our biggest fundraisers during the school year is selling lumpia.
It's
And
my
because I know that a
favorite.
lot I know that a lot of people don't normally eat pork. So what we do is we take out the ground pork and we substitute it for ground turkey. And
Equally as delicious.
you still get that delicious, that it's almost like, especially when you add the onions and the different spices, you still get that caramelized meat on the inside. And Zach, do you know that sound when you take a freshly baked loaf of bread and you squeeze it just a little bit and you get that crackle of the crust?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
There is just something about taking that bite from a freshly fried piece of lumpia and that crack when you bite into the crispy spring
Oh,
roll wrapper. There's just it's like music to my ears. That's the sound that I grew up with. Just and we would mix it with it's a finger food, so it's not a main dish. We would eat it with rice and other appetizers like barbecue chicken, different vegetables, and I just love that it complements any meal. You can eat it for lunch, dinner. I've had it for breakfast a couple times, like when we did leftovers. And it's just it's so simple, but I can't believe that something so simple has such a powerful flavor that
yeah.
it feels so good. Just like having a tray, like coming from the Filipino store, my parents they would come home with a tray of lumpia, and that's like the first thing that my sister and I would look for. They would come home from the Filipino supermarket, and my sister and I would run down the stairs to the kitchen, and the first thing we would ask is, "Did the Filipino store make lumpia this weekend? Did you bring home lumpia?"
Uh,
It's just well, I grew up with it. It's one of my favorite foods.
I'm jealous of how simple it is to make lumpia versus how simple, like how difficult it is to make bao.
Oh no. Yeah, lumpia is it's honestly it's so simple. It's just because it's just basic ingredients, but it's you just
You wrap
and
it.
honestly
That's
you
the
can
hard
just yeah,
part.
you just
Wrapping
wrap
is
it.
hard. Wrapping is
Wrapping
hard.
it and then frying it and keeping it intact. That's the only hard parts.
Yeah, like wrapping technique in Asian cuisine is just like a different level of difficulty. Because I know, like when I tried to make Char Siu Bao, like the steamed ones, and you had to do that like circular crimp. That was so difficult, and when I steamed them, they kind of like fell apart.
Oh
It
no.
it's so hard. But then like you were talking about like there's just a few ingredients in the inside. I
Hmm.
there's like over 10 different things that go in. There's like soy sauce, and you're like throwing in like all these different spices. You've got five spice. I'm really jealous on how easy it is.
But you know what? All of those ingredients in those pork buns make all the difference when you take that first bite and those flavors just melt in your mouth, like I said before.
Yeah,
It's worth all the work and all the ingredients.
100% though. Like
Yeah.
it took me 7 hours. But though that's one of the things though, is like the diversity of people in the AAPI community and of culture and of food is one of the most beautiful things and one of our greatest strengths, in the AAPI community. And
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
that's part of how we assert our place in America is by sharing our food and getting people to love our food. That
Hmm.
that has to be part of the strategy.
Yeah. And to go off of that sharing foods, so the second part of Dish It Out, Zach and I just shared two dishes from our own cultures with all of you guys. But for next week, Zach and I are actually going to challenge each other to do some research about dishes from other cultures in the AAPI community and bring those to the Dish It Out table in the next episode. So, Zach, for next week, I want you to talk about onigiri. It's a traditional food item from Japan, and I've had it before. It's really good. I'm really excited to see what you come up with.
I've had it a couple times and it is amazing. And I'm really excited to learn more about it. I know that there's a little like farmers market stand at school at school that sells it.
Yes.
They're the best. And for I'm going to challenge you to look up gulab jamun. It's an Indian dish.
Hmm.
It's very sweet. Also it's like a manually intensive, but definitely worth it.
Cool. I mean, I'm really excited to learn more about this dish. You said it was an Indian dessert?
I think it's a dessert, but I'm not really sure. It's just really sweet.
Okay, you said it's sweet, so my mind just automatically goes to dessert. But yeah, I think for now we're just gonna wrap up, dish it out.